Hi, I'm Danny and these are my Diecast Disasters. In this video I'm going to be restoring and customizing this Matchbox sand digger. These are pretty much based on a VW Beetle Dune buggy with big wheels on it. They were produced from 1983 until 1985. This green version with the bugs on the door was produced from 83 until 84. The 1985 version being red with Dune Man written on the doors. So let's take it off the turntable and have a closer look. It's pretty rough. A lot of its paint's missing there. Those wheels are fairly worn out. All the parts are there though. It never had a windscreen. See a lot of the chrome missing from the motor as well. Not really any delicate bits on this model, so I guess a lot of them have probably survived quite well. Let's get started by taking it apart. There's one rivet here at the back and then a tab at the front there, so I'll just drill the rivet out. I'm using a 4mm drill. Now I can pop the bottom off. The interior's riveted to the base there, and that's what's holding the axles in. There's also a plastic rivet here on the motor holding it to the roof, so I'll just carefully drill that out. Now I'm going to drill out the rivets holding the interior on. I want to be careful not to drill too deep and go through the base. And there it goes, all taken apart. Now I'm going to use some poly stripper to remove the paint, and here it is after paint stripping. There's no paint left on those, but they are still a bit dull with oxidation, so I'll give them a clean up with a wire brush on my rotary tool. And here are the castings after burnishing. They're looking a lot shinier. Now I'm going to do a candy paint job on this car, so I want the body to be even more shiny. I'm going to use a little bit of polish here and a felt tip on my rotary tool, and I'm going to bring it up to a high shine. And now it's time for my candy paint. I'm using a Vallejo Candy Magenta. When I'm spraying candies, I like to have my room really hot so that the paint is drying quite fast, and I apply it in a number of really thin layers until it gets the darkness that I want it to be. And here it is after the candy paint job. I've also detailed the headlights there. This was given a couple of coats of nice gloss and then left to cure. So now I'm going to move on to the base. I start by masking off most of it apart from the bumpers. I then paint those with a white undercoat, and then I'm going to paint them yellow. So now I can take my masking off. Now I'm going to mask off my yellow bumpers. And I'll spray paint the rest of the base in black. And here it is with the masking removed. It's looking pretty cool. So now I'm just going to finish off with a little bit of metallic weathering powder. This will just bring out those details there. I fixed this with a satin varnish. Taking a look at the interior now. It's in good condition, but it's pretty grubby, so it's off for a wash in some hot soapy water. Now, one thing it hasn't got is a steering wheel, so I've cut one out of a junk interior, and here I've glued it on with a tiny drop of my Starbond super glue. And here it is, painted black with a coat of satin varnish. Now for the motor, pretty scruffy looking chrome left on there, so I'm going to begin by removing that. I'm using some hot water from the tap here and a little bit of caustic soda. Here it is after a minute or two in the caustic solution, and then it was given a good rinse. It was then painted black, and then I painted it in a steel colour. It's like a quite dark silver, but it's not as dark as a gunmetal. And to finish it, I painted it from the top down with chrome. So it's given me kind of a two-tone engine block there. That's chrome at the top and a bit darker at the bottom. And finally, these grotty old wheels. I'm not going to be using those. The hubs are terrible. I'm going to replace them with these newer ones here. But I don't like those silver hubs for this car, so I'm going to paint them yellow. And here they go. This was 2 coats of yellow, and I just painted it on by hand. And so here we are with all the parts of our Sand Digger VW Dune buggy, refurbished, repainted, and ready to go back together. So I'll start putting it back together by putting the wheels in position there and gluing the interior in. Just using a bit more of my Starbond super glue there. Next I'll put the motor onto the body here. Again, I'm going to use a little bit of my Starbond just to glue the rivet post in there. And once this glue had dried, I'm just paint on a little layer of clear varnish. This will just prevent any of that white residue forming over time. And now all I have to do is put the base and the body together. And I've drilled and tapped that rivet post earlier, so I just screwed it together with a little screw there. So there's our little VW Sand Digger all back together. But before we take a look at the finished car, let's just take a moment to look back and be reminded of what we started with. Our little Dune buggy is looking pretty rough there, with a heavily chipped and scuffed up paint job, some worn out, tired looking old wheels, and most of the chrome missing from its motor. It is a proper diecast disaster, so let's see what we can do with it. And here it is, our finished Matchbox Sand Digger. Tidied up and painted with a custom candy magenta and yellow paint job. It's also had its shabby looking old motor re-chromed. It's had the interior detailed with a new steering wheel, and it's also got a brand new set of wheels to replace those worn out old ones with a colour matched set of yellow rims. So I'm really happy with how this car came out. I think that colour scheme looks awesome. I know it's one that will probably be a bit polarizing. Some people will probably really like it and other people won't like it so much. You can let me know what you think in the description down below. Also, let us know if you had this toy as a kid and used to play with it. I'm sure plenty of you did, although it wasn't a super long run, only 3 years. And before I sign off, I'll welcome all of my new subscribers and say a big thanks to everyone for the awesome comments and likes on my videos. And as always, extra special thanks to my awesome Patreon supporters who help to support the channel through Patreon. If you'd like to help support the channel as well, so I can go on bringing you videos like this to watch, you can check out my Patreon page. There'll be a link in the description down below. There's also a link where you can get 10% off of your order of Starbond glue with the code Danny10. This is awesome stuff and I use it in almost all of my builds. Thanks heaps for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with your friends.